When I was in high school, I used to wake up at 5 a.m. every single day, and my mom used to say that it was because I was a morning person and that like I never had a hard time waking up early in the morning, but that wasn't really true. The reason why I woke up at 5 a.m. was because I didn't like to have to rush in the mornings and like panic to get to the bus on time, and I really liked those few hours of just quiet and peace and alone time in the morning before everybody else woke up. And since I stopped having to wake up early every morning for high school, I've actually turned into a complete night owl. I've been tracking my sleep using the Sleep Cycle app since 2018, and I've been consistently going to bed between like 2 to 4 a.m. on average for the last like 3.5 years, probably more like 5 actually. And there's been occasions when I've tried to correct this and tried to like make myself wake up earlier consistently, but I always end up falling back into the habit of waking up really, really late. And of course, this has led to me getting a lot of criticism from the people around me who will assume that I'm lazy because I wake up late, which obviously isn't true, because just because you wake up late doesn't mean that you are sleeping more than everybody else, or that you're working less, or that you're staying up late doing, unproductive things. It just means that your schedule is different. And I absolutely do believe in the concept of like social jet lag, which is the theory that a certain percentage of the population is naturally programmed to be like night owls, because when we were still like cavemen and we didn't have a lot of safety, there needed to be members of the group who would stay up at night to keep watch to protect the rest of their tribe or their pack of people against wild animals that might try to attack in the night. So maybe I really am just a natural night owl, or maybe I've just fallen into bad habits. All I know is that I've never been able to consistently shake the habit of waking up late in like the past 5 years or so. And this week, I'm gonna try to change that. I had recently considered adopting a new philosophy of just like not setting an alarm in the morning, not trying to wake up early anymore, and just like accepting my night owl tendencies to see if that would improve my sleep. But the problem that I ran into is I realized, first of all, that I'm losing a lot of daylight hours that I could be using to film or take photos, and it's really more practical for me as a content creator to take advantage of as many of the hours of daylight outside as possible. And secondly, because I live with my family and they wake up early for school and work, I often deal with the issue of interrupted sleep, because since I'm going to bed really late and waking up really late, I end up being woken up by them when they're getting ready for their day. Maybe when I'm living alone and I get my own apartment, it's not gonna be a big problem anymore, but for now, I feel like it really is something that I would stand to benefit from if I was able to break the habit of being a night owl. So this week I'm gonna be staying at my boyfriend's place, and he is an absolute early bird. He literally wakes up at like 4 in the morning, which I think is just insane. And he's gonna be helping me to stay on track with waking up at 5 a.m. for 1 week just to see how I do. I look at him and like the way that he manages his life, and he literally will get his work done before like 3 in the afternoon, or sometimes even 12, and then he has the rest of the day to do whatever he wants. And I just feel like it's a lot more relaxed and productive when you can just get everything you need to get done as early as possible, and then you have the rest of the day to do whatever you want. I think there's also something about waking up really early that inherently makes us have this desire to be more productive, because I know for me, like if I go through the trouble of waking up at 5, I want to really have something to show for it. So yeah, wish me luck breaking the habit of being a night owl. Let's go. Ellie, what? Is it 5 a.m. already?
Mm-hmm.
Why? Oh. Ellie. Just sound
sounds she's making are ridiculous.
Day 1 was rough. Even though I was in bed by 9, I couldn't actually fall asleep until after 10. My sleep quality was terrible. I kept waking up through the night and I felt exhausted. When I woke up in the morning, I literally sat in bed staring into space for half an hour. I had a meltdown and started crying about how much I hated 5 a.m. and how tired I was. I took a totally not restful nap between 1 to 2 p.m. But on the plus side, I actually meditated for the first time in ages, and without even meaning to, I hardly spent any time at all watching Netflix that day. In spite of being very tired and irritable, I actually had a really productive day compared to usual. On day 2, it was still just as unpleasant waking up in the morning. Again, we started with this theme of I hate 5 a.m. 5 a.m. isn't meant for humans. I am so tired. I don't want to get up. However, my sleep quality was better, both during my night sleep and my afternoon nap. I actually had vivid dreams that I could remember, which I take as being a good sign that I got some proper rest. I was a little bit less productive, possibly due to the novelty of yay, it's 5 a.m., let's do stuff, wearing off, or maybe it was just the tiredness catching up to me. Either way, that night I slept absolutely terribly. I don't think I fell asleep until after 11. On day 3, I almost slept in. I had woken up at 5 and then set my alarm for 6 to just like get a little bit more rest, but my boyfriend wouldn't let me and he dragged me out of bed, so I just got on with my day. My day was a lot slower to start. I had a headache the whole day and felt really fatigued, but it was the first day that I didn't take an afternoon nap. I figured maybe that would help me get better sleep at night. But unfortunately, as soon as dinner was over and 8 p.m. rolled around, I again was filled with this jolt of energy and motivation. I felt like I wanted to do things. My headache was gone and I felt still tired, but less tired. I really felt like I had a solid 2 hours or more of energy left in me, but I still forced myself to put on my PJs and try to go to sleep. Thursday was again slow to start. I actually woke up at 5 but stayed in bed until 6 a.m. When I did eventually get to work, I was so tired that I was literally falling asleep while typing, so I decided that's it, like I can't be productive right now, and just watched YouTube videos for a while. But then I started feeling guilty about starting my day watching YouTube videos, so I went and baked some lemon bars, which actually turned out really good. I was generally irritable and annoyed, and again, I had that little burst of energy in the evening, but it was less intense than on previous days. On Friday, I woke up at 5 a.m. and decided, you know what, I've been doing this for a week, let's give myself a little treat and a sleep in, so I set my alarm for 6, but I actually ended up waking up again at like 5:45, having not really fallen asleep properly again. Friday was a totally unproductive day because there was an attempted kidnapping for ransom in my boyfriend's neighborhood, and there was police in the whole neighborhood for like 3 hours, including a freaking helicopter hovering over the neighborhood. And so obviously we were totally preoccupied with just looking out the window to see what was going on. In the end, after about 3 hours, the police still couldn't find the suspect, so they brought in a sniffer dog and he literally found him within like 20 minutes. So, you know, there is your eternal proof that dogs are better than humans. Over the weekend, I stopped waking up at 5, but I was still up earlier than usual, which for me meant between 7 and 8 a.m. Waking up at 5 a.m. was rough. I typically need 8 to 9 hours of sleep to feel fully rested, which meant I would have to be asleep by 8 or 9 p.m., but I struggled to fall asleep on time. The feeling was similar to being jet lagged. I was tired and I wanted to sleep, but my brain was just on a different schedule and I couldn't get myself to shut down. For me, that led to being extremely sensitive, emotional, and irritable.
I'm so full and I'm so tired. I have things to do and everything's
One symptom of my mental health issues is that I tend to suppress emotions and then they'll all just kind of spill out at once when I reach a breaking point. And it's harder for me to keep those breakdowns at bay when I am tired, which led to more than one hilarious but kind of disturbing emotional outbursts and meltdowns during this challenge.
I'm so tired. I just want to sleep. And my brain won't let me. So funny. Why are you laughing? Why does your brain have to make change so difficult? Oh, Peter, I've been going to bed at like 2 o'clock for
Say
5
goodnight.
years.
Good night, YouTube.
That's not funny.
See you at 5 a.m.
I don't wanna.
I also relied on coffee more than I usually do. I tend to avoid caffeine because it makes me jittery and anxious and gives me tummy problems, but this week I actually really felt like I needed the pick-me-up sometimes. I didn't want to have to nap to get through this challenge, but at times I kind of had to because any benefit that I was getting out of waking up early was being lost due to the loss in productivity from being so tired. I can't work properly when I'm tired. I get distracted easily and things take me longer and I make more mistakes when I'm typing. So it was just the best thing for me to like try to get a little bit of extra rest in the middle of the day. Despite the fact that I struggled a lot, I actually want to keep trying to wake up at 5 a.m. for a little longer and see if my brain is able to adjust to the schedule. I immensely enjoyed the feeling of getting a head start on my day, even if the day got off to a really unproductive start and I spent like hours wasting time. I would look at the clock and it's like, it's only noon. I have time to change this. I have time to make this a good day. Whereas when I'm waking up at my normal time of around 11 a.m., by the time I realize how much time I've wasted, it already feels like it's too late to course correct. It's hard to know if my night owl tendency is biologically programmed or if it's just the product of long-term habit. But I guess time and experimentation will find me the answer. One problem that I've always had is going to extremes. I've tried at times to train myself to wake up at 7, but 7 wasn't extreme or exciting enough for me to actually go through with it. So when I told my therapist that I was doing this 5 a.m. thing, she was not convinced that this would be a genuine long-term change because she thinks that as soon as the novelty of 5 a.m. wears off, I'll just return to old bad habits. But I'm still gonna try to prove her wrong and see if I can turn this into a long-term good habit. I still maintain that I don't believe waking up at 5 a.m. makes you an inherently more productive or hardworking person than anyone else. It just matters what works for you and your schedule. For me, I really felt the benefit and the enjoyment in getting a head start on my day and starting everything earlier and having those hours of peace and quiet to myself. And I really did feel like I was less inclined to spend time on Netflix and YouTube. Waking up early really motivated me to try to make it a good day. I think the biggest hurdle is just getting my brain to adjust to the schedule and help me change the way I do things. If you've never been an early bird before, I would say try it and see how it makes you feel. It probably will be difficult to adjust to the time difference in those first few weeks, but if it works for you, it might be worth it to push through that discomfort and create a lasting change. Thanks for watching and happy sleeping.